everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our agenda this evening is as follows. This has been posted on the town website and the town board. Number 1, Sagebrook Associates minor subdivision. Applicant seeks minor subdivision approval to create 3 new building lots on property located at 48 Spring Landing Boulevard. Sagebrook Associates Incorporated is the applicant. Number 2, Folsom Development Site Plan. Applicant seeks to construct a 2-story medical building on property located at 112 McChesney Avenue. Folsom Development of Albany LLC is the applicant. Number 3, Renini, special use permit. Applicant seeks approval for a accessory apartment in a single-family home on property located at 125 Tamarack Road. Paul Bernini is the applicant. And number 4, there will be discussion and review of the proposed Brunswick zoning law amendments. We do not have any other new business. So first on our agenda is the review of the minutes of November 17th. Does anybody have any questions on that? Is there any changes, recommendations? Okay, I will make a motion to accept the minutes as they've been submitted.
Second.
There's a second. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda is the Sagebrook Associates minor subdivision. You have received just now, I thought we had received that in the mail. But the responses to the public hearing from Barber Engineering. Did everybody have a chance just to review those? Any questions on any of those responses? I'll actually just briefly go through the responses that you had for the benefit of those that may not have read this. All right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to go through it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Good evening, Matt Bauer, Barber Engineering. Yep, so last meeting, 2 weeks ago, we had a public hearing, and there were a few people that had commented. Comment number 1 was by Diane McGurk of 95 Renamsha, who noted that the project seemed to be being added to the Spring Landing subdivision, and asked why the application was considered a minor subdivision and not in addition to the Spring Landing major subdivision project. Again, due to the length of time that's lapsed since that original subdivision, that would not be applicable to this project. Comment number 2 was from Stephen Shepard, 23 Cricket Court. He noted that several lots in Spring Landing are currently having issues with their wells, and asked if the 3 new wells for this project would make those problems worse. So Cricket is the road that's down here, actually. So these proposed wells are a minimum of 300 feet from the nearest well, which is actually this landowner at the end of Spring Landing. So Cricket is probably closer to 1,000 feet away from these wells. So these wells won't affect the water supply. As we noted in our comment, there are a lot of the wells in that original subdivision. Some of them are pretty shallow, and they're also pretty close together. 30 to 50 feet were some of the closest wells, at least. Pardon?
are the wells drilled in the existing development, are the well drilled to the same level?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. It sounded like a couple people, talking to them in the meeting had deeper wells, some had shallower wells.
So, where I guess what I'm going with this is the wells for the new home sites, will they be at the same depth as the wells that are now in place with the existing home sites? I mean, I realize you'd have to drill quite a bit deeper to get there,
Yeah.
but I think it's a question that needs to answer.
Yeah, these, wells are, let's see if we can actually read the contours of 430. 470. So this one's another 40 feet in elevation higher. This one is about 100 feet in elevation higher up here, comparable over there as well. So they're significantly higher in elevation compared to the wells in Spring.
You're confident you're going to perform that?
Yeah, you know, wells are a fickle thing, but, a common depth for wells in the area seems to be anywhere from 150 to 250 feet, somewhere in that ballpark.
So you haven't done a test well on this yet?
No. No, but typically, whether it's going deeper or hydrofracking the well, we're able to meet what they need, have the reserve in the well to achieve the minimum requirements by DEC, Department of Health.
So you haven't provided anything to the county health department yet? On the well and the flow?
That's, no, the well logs aren't required until we're looking to close out the septic permit. So, the septics, I don't want to speak for the county, I will be hearing back the next day or so on their final review of the septics. And then, when they go to construct, and when they want to close out, their permit, their septic permit, that's a condition of closing out the septic permit, they'll need to have the well logs and the flow, as well as a negative bacteria test provided to the county, prior to getting their COs for those structures. I think Albany County likes to have the wells drilled first, but it's not a requirement. Okay, so item number 3 was the same gentleman, Mr. Shepherd, asked if the applicant was proposing 3 separate driveways for 3 lots or 1 driveway for the 3 lots. And as we've kind of gone over this the past few meetings, the applicant would like to keep it as 1 entrance on a spring landing. There's currently 1 entrance there now. And it's hopeful that the people building would have a shared driveway agreement and would maintain that 1 entrance, but there is room and space and we can meet the 3 access points required by code. We can show that, we can meet that requirement. It's not always hoping to build, but if necessary, it's buildable. So that was item 3. And then item 4 was Thomas Keel, 43 Spring Landing Boulevard. Asked for clarification when we noted the encroachment issue of the driveway here on the corner of the parcel. And that one was actually, in the minutes they quoted Attorney Gilchrist on that comment. So that the existing driveway for the adjacent parcel encroaches onto the project site, and that a note has been added to the plat indicating that this driveway is subject to a revocable license agreement. And that was the last and final comment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just to review, we've had the public hearing. The applicant has addressed all the response at the public hearing. At our last meeting, we asked Wayne whether all the engineering requirements and recommendations were addressed. I believe he said yes, and
That's correct.
And then we asked Andy whether any of the legal questions or provisions were addressed. And he answered that they were all. So we could act on this tonight. Is that correct? Does anybody have any other questions on this minor subdivision? Okay, then we can do a NADAC on this if someone wishes to make that. Don, would you like to make that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, there's a motion for a negative declaration under seeker. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now on the approval of the subdivision, which conditions are Rensselaer County approval on septic and well.
There's a few, if I can go over, I did review these with Wayne
Okay.
earlier, so yes. Rensselaer County Health Department approval for well and septic for each lot. Payment of the parking recreation fee. Town driveway permit requirement. Limit the clearing and grading. Wayne, I put down to the approved plan. Is there a grading plan that shows the?
Yes.
All right, so limit the clearing and grading to the approved grading plan. And the town MS4 acceptance under the notice of intent on the existing SWIP, or is it a new SWIP?
It's a new SWIP.
That's everything I had. And anything else? Mike?
Talked about the negative pitch on the driveway, just assure that there's negative pitch away from the public road to the driveway entrance.
Yeah, we'll put that in connection with the town driveway permit. Town does require 2% back pitch for the first 10 feet at a minimum.
The driveway widths have to comply with the town.
Yep.
And just as a note, they have provided turnoffs because of the light. So,
Turn off the driver.
do you have any questions on any of those?
Yeah, do we get a written copy with the conditions of the approval?
Will be set forth in the minutes.
Okay, yeah, excellent, okay. And then my other question is just on the well, because the well isn't, the location is approved as part of the septic plan, but the wells aren't going to be drilled until these are developed. So just clarifying that point.
No, that's a standard condition because your plat will need to have the stamp and approval, the signature of the county prior to the planning board stamping,
Yes.
signing, so you can record your plat.
Yeah, health department approval. Yep, okay, just want to make
But
sure.
you did say something about a cluster flow? Well, I'm not sure what the rules are for a 3-lot subdivision, I can't remember. Whether the county requires a test well, I think it's for larger subdivisions maybe. But oftentimes the developer will go and do a test well, and make sure that you have flow.
Yeah, I don't believe one's been drilled here.
It is up to the county to approve the wells for flow and
Yeah, that's, that was, the only reason I was asking for clarification on that, because it's typically not until after the house is constructed, essentially, all the plumbing's in, they chlorinate the well, and, take a sample with the kitchen tap, sample that, too, but. I think we're talking about
the county's gonna
Yeah.
require is a flow test.
Yeah. Okay, all right, understood, thank you. I think that's good for my questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any other conditions they wish to place on this? And I'll entertain a motion with those conditions. Would you like to make
I'll make
that?
that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Are there any further questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You know any of these plans, Ben?
I think.
Can we stamp, we won't be able to stamp that plat now, right?
So.
No, we want the county on it.
Exactly.
New set. New set, so I think 7 copies. No,
Those aren't,
yeah, the survey, we can hang on to the survey, I believe. But our plan set, we'll update our plan set with the county comments for, the septic systems. Majority of plan sets.
okay.
So, we'll get those over to you probably next week.
Okay.
All right, thank you again.
Again, we're gonna need the health department stamp on there before the town can. stamp
Yeah.
it on.
Yep, I said, I don't want to speak for the county, but I touched base with them yesterday. It sounded like that was forthcoming very quickly.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Okay, number 2 on our agenda is the Folsom Development Site Plan. For a medical building on Chesney Avenue. And one of the issues that we were talking about at our last meeting with the applicant was the sewer line issue regarding an easement with Nigro and so on. So I'm going to have the applicant review that with us.
Good evening. My name is Skip Francis with Greg Manning. I'm substituting for Greg Bestwick, who's seen many times before. Could not make it tonight, but he's been briefed me this morning on this, so I just wanted to present, and the town has been presented with letters of support from both property owners, the Nigro property and the apartment property. I'll use that because their corporate names are so closely associated with each other. But this is the property for the medical office building. To make that happen, to cross this road here is the apartment road. So that's one of the easements from the apartments, which is Brunswick Associates of Albany. And then the other easement is from Nigro to get to the town property, and that is the Brunswick Center Associates. Both letters have been provided. I think most of the other issues on the site plan have been worked out to date, but here to answer any questions you may have about this matter. And consideration of either conditions or what else further you might need.
Wayne, do you have any questions on this?
Yeah. The site plan that was, as an exhibit to the letters, it's not the site plan that we proposed. Kind of confuses me why we're not showing the site plan with, the,
This was just an
sewer
exhibit.
easements shown on that site.
This was an exhibit that was attached to both letters. So it's clear about what easements needed to be conveyed to make the site plan happen. It's still associated with the site plan. This isn't on, this is on someone else's title block. Been prepared. So, but it's, if you'd like to see it in another fashion,
It seems to me, yeah, that the site of the proposed office building, or nothing, topo and everything should be shown. With the easements, so you can kind of see where the easements are in relation to the actual site.
In other words, you're talking a larger,
Well, this doesn't even have the site plan on it.
yeah, well, I mean, something that would include that into the site plan.
Right.
Well, the sewer itself is yet to be the final design. I think the last time we were here, we were asked to get commitments from folks that would require these easements to make this happen. And now that we've got those commitments, yes, we agree that the sewer is yet to be designed, but we're taking steps towards, okay, adjoining properties will work with us, work with the project, work with the town, and make this all happen. And ultimately, I would agree, when the sewer's final design, you'll have a plan and profile to show the whole length of the work. If that's amenable to you, but this exhibit, which is what you're looking at, which is the last page of every attachment, this is what's up here, and right, the site is right here, and it's not shown in detail on this, but when this is designed, you'll have that detail for the town review, town engineering, or town DPW and TDP's final review, to make sure it's all to standard and so forth.
Is this an as-built or what's there now? Yeah.
I believe the red dotted line is the existing route. Everything else is as-built. The
And
red
the
solid
building and the
lines,
parking and all that, that's all?
yes, yes. But this project isn't associated with this building or this parking. We're focusing on the sewer alignment.
Okay.
The existing that's out here in Route 7, the manhole, this line is the line that is existing here. This line is the segment, I think, that's going to go away. The new line's going to connect on the solid red line routes that are shown. And the easements are what we've at least accomplished, made that step forward, that these property owners will work with the project to help make it happen. And once we get buy-in from, once we've now had buy-in from them, we're seeking buy-in from you, this board, to see if we can finish the plan.
Basically, it's from a design standpoint, we can buy in from the town's utility director. We're buying from the program.
Okay.
And I know Greg has had some discussions with Bill. And I've talked to Bill about whether or not the town will accept that sewer once it's completed. Verbally, he said that he would. I think Bill's gonna have to see the whole design before he signs off on it. And maybe put something in writing so that this board can.
If that could be a condition of site plan approval, so you don't have to hear us come back again or see me or Greg come back again, you can possibly consider as a condition that final design of the sewer gets Mr. Bradley's review, your review, and then you both concur on before it is actually constructed. We agree that, we would agree to that, but we're just trying to take the steps forward and make sure we can link the two. And we did do the camera study for the segment. And so we believe that this is going to correct that problem area and still work for everybody involved. But the condition would be commitment from us to have to finish before things go forward with building permits. I would presume. That's. Yes.
Is the next landowner beyond you going to be able to tie in if they decide to develop?
I don't know enough about the project and its surroundings to be able to answer that for you.
I hate to have,
Greg might would help.
I hate to have the next person have to go through all the same stuff that you guys had to go through. But at least, I don't know, there's more land there and it's getting hard to live there. If you haven't designed it, maybe you can design it so that further down could tie into it.
Okay.
I have a dumb question. The existing line that's there, that was, I believe it was partially collapsed or was below
It had some low spots.
Yeah.
At least it's difficult that.
Is that the one that eventually, with the way I'm looking at it, goes up to the apartments?
My understanding it was in this segment here.
Yeah, but once you get beyond there, that goes up to the, is that the sewer line for the apartment complex?
I believe so. It's going in that direction, but this map stops right here.
So this problems with this line, basically, before you guys was a problem with the apartments. So, did they have reported issues with that?
According to Bill Bradley, yes.
They did?
I believe so, yes. That has been trouble spots where they have had to jet that area out.
Okay. So it's easier to do a skirting turn around it than it is to use the existing, I would assume there's an existing easement crossing. You know, if there were that Pollock's probably at the time, probably.
I mean, Riccardi was the builder of this line.
Of course, if they do that, then they're gonna be out of sewer service.
That's what I was thinking. They're probably going to
All right,
have the bypass in
probably answered
place.
my own question.
Yeah, when this goes in, this will, there's a note on here, bypass pumping will be needed for a short period of time.
Okay.
But the contractor can sequence it in a way that for minimal disruption, short amount of time.
All right.
And this arrangement not only just skirts it, but what it does is it pushes the manhole out into town right away. So this manhole right now presently is on private property. This would push out into the right of way to make all the connections. So you would own, your town would own this section, right?
That's county.
Right away.
No,
McChesney
McChesney is a
Avenue,
county road.
Town road or county?
County
road?
road, excuse me.
County.
It'll get it off property.
Okay.
So Nigro's line is that dark line that says approximate boundary line?
Yes,
Is that Nigro's property line?
yes.
That little strip mall, where does that tie into this thing? A little shaped, hockey stick shaped strip mall, it's right below your finger. Where's that building tie into this?
This one?
That's
the. If I,
Is there a medical building in there too?
this is its outlet right here,
Okay.
which goes this way.
Yeah, it's right there.
Guessing they reconfigured that intersection at one time. Come out and angle as a line.
Okay, And potentially moving forward, what are our,
Well, I'll tell you, my concern is that if it were simply a design of the sewer and a work permit, that would be one thing. There's been discussion, it's my understanding, Wayne can confirm, maybe Skip can confirm, that the town would then potentially take over ownership and operation of the line, would be dedicated. Is that correct, Wayne?
From a certain point, yes.
And I think the board is well served to make sure they fully understand what Bill Bradley intends here, what areas to be taken over, because I would like to have that appropriately documented so that it could be correctly recited as a condition. When you're talking about dedication of infrastructure, there's a lot of things that kick in, offers of dedication, transfer of ownership, title insurance. I just want to make sure I fully, and the board fully understands what's being proposed here, so that the appropriate condition, if the board is intent on moving forward with a condition requiring final design plans and approval by Wayne and Bill Bradley, there's still some conceptual detail I think the board should have on what is proposed to be taken over by the town, on what conditions, and if that happens, making sure that we have the appropriate condition on the dedication. As I sit here right now, I still don't know exactly what the proposal is on that. Do you, Wayne?
I think I do.
It would be good because ultimately it's going to be
But
the town water department that signs off all of this. So I think getting clarification from Bill Bradley clear would benefit the board.
Why not just finish the design?
That's another option too.
What's the issue, what's the issue with just finishing the design?
I believe the developer wants to make sure the pieces from the land that they're crossing, as well as the receivers, the town receive this, are all in place first before he authorizes the design. If we have the framework within we can create our design, we can go forward with the design for the project.
Doesn't that do that?
It now does, yes. These support letters of support, which we did not have last time that we were here, but the applicant wanted us to present these to your board tonight as an update, show what our intentions are. But if more clarity is needed, and communication with Mr. Bradley, we're happy to do that as well. That's why we just want to make sure all the pieces are in place, or we'll be moving it 3 or 4 times in the design until we get to the right place. So trying to nail down the concept of it now. Once that's in agreement with all parties, then we can march through design pretty quickly. Town standards.
I think we have to get that agreement from Bill Bradley and the town, or we're gonna act here to make sure that the conditions are clear. How do we handle that? Arrange a meeting with Bill Bradley and the applicant? And
Well, I think in the interim, before your next meeting, Creighton Manning, Wayne, and Bill should coordinate. Get, I think, clarification, and I agree with Wayne, preferably in writing from the water department on exactly what's being proposed and how it's gonna work.
What?
So I can take that and advise the board on an appropriate, if, again, short of full sewer design, an appropriate condition to an approval that will require all of that and lay out how it's gonna work prior to the issuance of any work permits.
Are we clear on that then?
Yes.
Any other?
I think it's gonna ultimately benefit everyone.
Yes, we're getting there.
You might have to have a discussion with the county as well. I'd like to see something from them. And conceptually, where you have a good portion of that 8-inch gravity line in that right of way.
To make sure they've got buy-in to it as well.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments regarding this? It seems to me if we can get those things in order at our next meeting, we can move forward.
Sounds like a plan.
So our next meeting is scheduled for the 15th. We'll put you on the agenda there, and hopefully we'll have all this information together. And, maybe by the end of the year, we'll be done.
All right,
All right?
thank you.
That was amazing. Don't hold me on that. Okay,
December
everyone,
15th, right?
December 15th is our next meeting. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. We appreciate you getting this information to us. Okay. Next on our agenda. Here a second. Is Bernini. Am I pronouncing that correct? Is it Bernina?
Yeah, for me.
Bernina? Okay. I didn't know whether it was Italian pronunciation. And you must be Paul.
Yes.
Okay. And you're here for a approval for a special use permit for an accessory apartment. And it's just a review before you give your presentation. You came before us earlier in the year for a lot line adjustment to increase the size of your lot, right? Okay. And this is now the end result of what you want to do, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So give us a brief idea of what you're proposing. Different things like location, where it is in relation to the house, what the facts and figures are. You have the application here. We have a seeker, a short environmental assessment form. And we have a plot plan. Just as an introduction here, whereabouts on Catamount Road is this now? This is down by the bus.
Right, that's right.
Yep, okay. And you're going to have the proposed addition, a 30 by 40 addition in the front of the house.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it seems by the distance there that the setback is fine? Okay. And now you own this property, I'm talking on, in relation to the drawing to the, on the right side there.
Yes.
So there's no side setback issues or anything like that. Now, this accessory apartment is for relative use, your use?
Hi.
Okay. And I was under the impression you're gonna move into it and your son or,
My son had a baby,
okay,
so we just need more space. I'm
Okay.
gonna make an addition for myself. We should take over the other part and utilize the pool and stuff that's in the back of the house.
okay,
It's easier for them to use that. And I could be in the front, yeah,
mhm,
I by myself.
okay, I understand. Does anybody have any questions on this? Okay, all special use permits require a public hearing. Are you aware of that? Okay. Public hearing is we post a public hearing so the public can review these at the town office, this application. And then at the public hearing, we're allowed to make comments or ask questions about the special use. This is a regulation in our zoning law.
Yeah, would that be like neighbors around you that would come?
Yes, all surrounding neighbors and adjacent property owners within 300 feet are normally notified. We have to post this in several medias, and it usually takes, we're required to have a posting within 10 days of the public hearing. So what happens now is, normally our next meeting is on the 15th. We do not have enough time to post that properly to the 15th. So usually we now schedule our meetings, public hearings at the second meeting. And that would be the first meeting in January,
January 5th.
January 5th. Okay? We ask that you be here because you're going to give a presentation to the public. And just outline what you want to do with your special use permit. And then the meeting will be turned over to the public. They can come up, make comments or whatever. I'm not trying to, make you nervous about this, but generally speaking, in situations like this, we very rarely have any comments. So it's a standard procedure we have to do.
And what do I have to bring with me?
Just what you have here. You have a larger copy of your map. You can have it on the board in front of you and on the easel. And I'll just demonstrate where you're, show off to the public where you're going to do it and so forth and so on. It's just a public presentation of what you want to do. All right? So we will schedule the public hearing on, you said January 5th is the first Thursday?
Yep.
It's at 7 o'clock. It's our first item for our meeting on that particular day. We'll have the public hearing. I'm not guaranteeing this, but most likely it'll be closed on that same night. And then you will be the first one on our agenda for the meeting, where the board now discusses any comments on the public hearing and so forth and so on. This is just a formality, like I said, what we have to do, we have to have a public hearing. Okay?
January 7th.
5th.
Yeah, it's the first Thursday of the month. If you have any questions, feel free to give Chuck a call at the town office. And he will set you straight, right?
He's trying.
All right? Does anybody have any other questions for the applicant?
No, but I just want to be sure that you understand that if there are any questions from people, your neighbors, whatever, you have to provide a written response to those questions, and generally that happens when we other do. So we'll be back on the second meeting in
19th.
January.
If there are no comments, we can proceed ahead.
I just want to leave it on.
Yeah.
I also have the architect drawings.
Okay, did we get those on the application?
No.
I would provide those to the town to make sure that they're available for public review.
Did we make copies when I first?
I believe, I don't have them in this envelope, but
Yeah, we made 11 copies of it.
Okay. I didn't get any with my,
no, that was the application of which the copies were made for. I may have one copy of that back at my desk. But I'll, we'll get a copy of that. The engineering layout. And I will provide that to the board members as well next time around.
okay, all right,
Okay.
good. Do you have any other questions for us? Okay, This is, like I said, this is a procedural thing that we're required to do with all special use permits. I know sometimes it gets cumbersome.
And if nobody shows up,
We can proceed ahead. All right?
Paul's houses, you can't see it from the road. It's isolated, there's nobody around him, except for his neighbor who sold him the land.
and right now we're on good standing, so.
Quicker the meeting, the better.
Have some time to do it.
That's all right. Yeah. All right then?
Yes, sir.
Then we will see you on the 5th and have a nice holiday.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The final item on our agenda is discussion for the zoning law amendment. I hope everybody has reviewed those. I have a couple questions. I'll see if I can find my copy of it. Just as a clarification on this that you gave us, Andy.
Yes.
On page 6, there's a density, I guess, chart.
Yes.
Just explain, under R40, you have several conditions, and then the density factor changes with that. That has nothing to do. If I have a one lot that's qualified as R40, what's, the density doesn't affect that. The density requirements for multi-family housing on large plots of land.
It's, the density is proposed to be applicable to the number of dwelling units for multifamily,
Okay?
or for the number of lots that the parcel could be subdivided. So you have a parcel in the R40 district, and it's, basically 1 acre lot. You got a 10-acre parcel. If there is no available public water and sewer, that be on this chart, bottom, then the density factor remains 40,000 square feet. You need
Okay.
40,000.
I thought that.
But if there's public water or sewer, then the density is 25,000, potentially some more lots. Because you don't need the separation distances for water and well and septic. One of them's available. And if you've got both public water and public sewer available, you can even get more lots, because at that point, there's no issue about available space for well and or septic. So that's what's being proposed within that district. And why is it being proposed there? Because the zoning law amendment would continue to allow multifamily in R40. And so that would apply for multifamily number of dwelling units that would be allowed on the site. Okay. Understand these density factors will be applied throughout the town, but it's only in the R40 district where that density factor could change based upon whether you have water or sewer.
Okay.
And the reason for that was that's going to be the only zoning district where multifamily will be allowed.
Okay. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? I had another. On page 5, paragraph 6A. We get in the final stance by the town board as part of the approval process. Generally, density of structures, infrastructure such as roads and parking lots and other developed areas shall be appropriate for the site in the neighborhood in which the site is situated, taking into account availability, capacity, and suitability of services such as schools, emergency response, roads, okay. Further down, it says the allowable density is determined by the town, can be based on a variety of additional factors, such as environmentally sensitive building or site design, preservation of important environmental features, and extent and suitability of recreational and open spaces, public access to open spaces, and so forth and so on. That environmentally sensitive building, what are they going with that?
I'm not sure I can answer that, but
I'm thinking or one of them canvas domes.
well, it can be energy efficient building design, you know. It's kind of left for if there's a project where, quite frankly, I'm not sure what the environmentally sensitive building design would be, but that's how I read it.
The preservation of important environmental features, like a landmark rock cropping,
Could be.
outcropping or something like
Sure.
that. Okay. Just asking.
Yeah. You gotta take each site as it comes.
I don't know who came up with all that wording, but I'll tell you, it's kind of interesting. Kind of covers just about anything else.
So that'd be our friends at LaBerge.
Big oak tree.
Well, I can understand like historic sites and
Sure.
cemeteries, stuff like that, family. All right, just thought I'd have a little general discussion on that.
That's a good example, Dave. You've got, it's a tree, it can be cut down, but everyone knows it's been there forever, it's important, we don't want to see it go. That can be considered by the town board.
Actually, some old surveys actually marked like big oak trees.
Yeah.
And Ron used to get the concrete up.
Could be stone walls.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I don't have any other questions. I see no, that I have any negative or comments on it or. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, hearing none, I guess we'll just make a,
With the board's okay, I will certainly prepare a letter to send to the town board saying you reviewed this, and I think it would be appropriate to say you have no objection.
okay. All right,
If you would like to say you support it, that's fine. You have no comments and otherwise support it. Certainly, if you indicated you reviewed it, have no comments or objections, that's probably adequate for the record.
well, let's just say one thing. This was generated as a result of multifamily housing, in particular in the Leon project, I believe. That's what pretty much started this process.
It did, but I will tell you, it's my understanding the town board also heard this board say multiple times, we think there's an
Yeah.
adequate number of rental units in the town currently. So that, in connection with a proposed additional apartment project, which was itself in an R25 zoning district, gave rise to this.
Yeah. With that in mind, twice I think we sent letters of correspondence to the board. Maybe we should, our response should be we support this.
That's entirely up to the board.
How does anybody feel about that? Does he have any objections with that? And I think since we've as part of the initial review of this, that I think probably that would be more appropriate.
So it will indicate you've had a chance to review it. You have no comments or objections, and in fact, support the proposed amendment.
Yes, I would feel more comfortable with that. Everybody agree with that? All right then that puts, that ends our agenda for this evening. We do not have any new business. We have no old business, I don't believe. So just to review our agenda for the meeting on the 15th, it'll be, Olson will be back here. Hopefully we can firm that whole, site plan up and move forward with that. The need is special use permit, that has a public hearing on January 5th, so they're not on there. The only other one that I have for the 15th would be tentatively, would be CVE, which is the solar thing. They have been postponed until the 15th to find out what the ruling is going to be on the moratorium from the town, which I believe, when's that meeting? The 8th?
A week from today.
When is it?
The 8th, a week from today.
So if that moratorium goes through, then CVE is off the agenda. And so is Atlas, who has basically two in the waiting right now, but they're under review by the zoning for area differences. And that would be the one of Shipley Lane. Is it Shipley?
There's two, yes, Brunswick,
Shipley Lane.
Brunswick Road and Shipley.
And then the other one, which is listed as 315 Brunswick Road, but it's actually a landlocked piece of property because there used to be a bridge across there. It only has access from the Chester Road by way of an easement. That one you haven't seen anything on. Basically, you haven't seen it on any of these because they have to have area variances. They have to go through the zoning.
Right, one correction, use variances, and that's
Use variance.
in part which gave rise to this, is that both of those Atlas projects off Shippey and the one with access off McChesney Ave extension are in R25 zoning districts where commercial solar is not an allowable use. And they've asked the zoning board for use variances to allow those projects to proceed, and some fairly difficult zoning issues arise out of that. So that's in part what gave rise to the proposed moratorium as well. That's why it hasn't been in front of this board yet.
Will they be impacted by the moratorium?
They will.
So right now, depending on what happens with the moratorium, we only have Olson's development on for January 15th. Does anybody have any questions on the agenda or have any questions on anything else? We're hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Hey,